So I just decided like I'm gonna see if I can figure out what makes him tick.
And let's move to Tencer real quick because Tencer is, when I first got out of law school, my first couple of trials, Tencer was the defense expert on those cases. And that's for cases with like minimal visual property damage. And, you know, Tencer just killed me in those cases. Like, and it was unfair. It was unfair for the clients to have to go have an expert like that who essentially says if there's no visible impact to the vehicle, it's more likely than not that there was no injury. And he goes through all this scientific stuff that makes you believe that that's true, which we know as plaintiffs' lawyers, that's not true. But how did you deal with him?
Well, first of all, I had heard all about him and I had seen a couple of his reports, but I had never really faced him until I hit this case in, I think it was like 2011, 2012 time period, maybe 2010, somewhere in there. And I just decided, I literally at that point in my career, I said, hey, I've come up with a lot of good ideas and I feel good about a lot of areas of my game. But I was like, the one thing I'm terrible at is experts. Like, I don't have a clue. I felt very deferential towards experts. Like, I was kind of afraid to go up against them. And then I had this case with Tencer, and I just decided, a lot of people have faced him, and he is like the scourge of plaintiff lawyers. And so I just decided, like, I'm going to see if I can figure out what makes him tick. So I just set aside the money to do this. I deposed him for like 8 hours one day. And I actually didn't finish. And so I came back like later and deposed him a second day. And I read all of his papers and I think I deposed him for about 12 hours in that case and just tried to figure out like, how does this guy tick? And it's funny because I remember after the very first one, afterwards he looked at me and he said, wow, I'm really impressed. Like so few lawyers actually take the time to read my papers or understand. Like he was like very friendly, very nice towards me. And even now, I think the guy, he knows exactly what he's doing, but like if he wasn't doing his job and I wasn't doing my job, I might actually get along with the guy pretty well. But what he's doing, I don't appreciate because I think he knows better. I think he knows that people get hurt in car accidents, and his suggestion that they don't is at best misleading. And so anyway, but I guess the takeaway is the first time I faced him, that's the only trial de novo of my own case that I've ever had not beat the threshold for triggering attorney's fees.